welcome to Virginia's Views and Vibes. I'm your host, Ginny Gardner, and today we are doing the K-Fa. Am I saying that correctly, Sally? K-Fa segment of Virginia's Views and Vibes, so I must say benvenuto. Joining us later will be my co-host for K-Fa, Dr. Domenic Amara. So when he gets on, we will welcome him. So for today, for now, I welcome my very special guest, longtime friend. We go back a long way through parents and grandparents and where we live, Ms. Sally Collura. Welcome, Sally.
Welcome, buongiorno, and che fa?
Che fa? And you know, it is Women's History Month. So
Right.
how fitting that you are back with me today, this month, to talk about your accomplishments, and you have so many. But I want you to start. And city councilor, founder, owner of the Tea Leaf, and avid outdoor sports person, Sally Collura. Should I do a drum roll? I think I might. Yeah, actually, you know, I'm getting better at some of this.
Yeah. So I'm also an indoor gardener. Want to see before I start telling you?
Sure.
About a little bit about me and my family, but do you see that?
I do.
Do you know what it is?
It actually looks like a red jelly bean, so I'm not sure.
It's a pearl tomato.
No way.
It's a pearl. It's an itty bitty pearl tomato, and when you put it in your mouth and you chew it twice, you don't. It's so cute. It's a pearl tomato. It's the size of a pearl.
No way.
Yeah, my grandmother would, and my mother would laugh at me because, you know how many of these she'd have to get in a jar for the fall.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. But so I guess you want to know, or your viewers might want to know a little bit about me. I was born and brought up in Waltham, Italian-American family. My grandparents came from Sicily with a sponsor hosting them. They didn't come across illegally, and and they really worked very hard to make a living during the Depression too. You know, it was kind of tough. I'm the oldest of 7, and then I.
Sicily. Where in Sicily?
So Aragona in the Agrigento region.
Okay.
But I think my paternal grandfather was born in Palermo. I think.
That's where we're from. My mother's side, which is the Patty side, Palermo.
Palermo, yeah, and Aragona, which is in that Agrigento region. And so I was the oldest of 7. Now I'm the middle child of 8. So I found a brother in Australia, and he's my big brother, 2 years older than me. A story for another time. We've talked about that, I think.
Yes. Yeah. It's a great story.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I have a lot of siblings, and we're all a little different. So I sort of took a cue from my parents in volunteering in the community, and at my church, Sacred Heart, which at the time growing up, it was like the Italian church. Now it's a multicultural church, and we have all kinds of people from every walk of life and lots of different countries, and it makes up our parish community. Sacred Heart's right over on River Street, corner of River and Newton. So I started volunteering, and I organized some events as I got more and more involved. Do you remember Dot Hill?
Yeah, I sure do. Dot Slamming Hill. Sure do.
Dot Slamming Hill. So I thought, you know, she never had a dinner, as Jerry, what's his name? Jerry Williams used to say, I never had a dinner. Yeah, I never had a dinner. But I organized a Dot Hill Day, and that was I think it was back in 1991. And that, to me, that was like one of my proudest moments. And Dot insisted we were going to have it. the bandstand on Waltham Common is the Dorothy Slamon Hill bandstand, but there was never a plaque or anything. But Dennis Devaney from New England Monuments, Dennis Devaney, New England Memorials, right on the corner of Robbins and Moody, and he designed and produced the monument that now stands in front of the bandstand.
Wow.
And we had it inscribed with the day that we dedicated to her, and she insisted on marching with the band from the American Legion on Waverly Oaks Road all the
No.
way to City Hall. And she was in her 80s at the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh my
with
gosh.
the band. And so we had state officials there and local officials there, her friends, her family, and it was Dot Hill's Day, and it went off without a hitch. And I just enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm sure she did too. So that was wonderful.
Yeah, well,
So then I ran for public office.
Yep. Talk about that.
So it wasn't, I mean, it was a while later, but I just felt like I could do a little bit more and I could be effective in a way to serve the city through local government. So I ran 6 times before the 6th time was a charm. And yeah. And someone said to me, "Oh, you have to run one more." I almost didn't. And that person said to me, "If you don't, you may regret it."
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, well, what do I have to do for the next 6 months, but knock on doors.
No,
and so I won. That was 2003 election. And I took oath of office in January 2004. Wow. And I served 4 terms, 8 years on the city council.
And while doing that, you were founder of the Tea Leaf in Waltham.
So I love tea all my life. That's what I'm drinking now. And after my 1 cup of coffee in the morning, I drink tea pretty much all day. And so I took my mother to a tea room one day. We always drank tea, but I took her to, I think it was the Wenham Tea House, and I just loved everything about it. The whole, sort of, it was dignified as well as enjoyable and calming. And between tea sandwiches, scones, and sweets, and just being able to spend time lingering, and talking. So that was the first introduction. And then I took her to the Boston Tea Parlor, which was in Bedford. And everything about that whole ritual of tea, I really loved. So I thought about it and then took some tea classes at World Tea Trade Show. And they ran certification classes. And I took a bunch of classes. And then I went to another and to another. And every time they had the show, the international show, I would take some classes. And that was when it sort of sealed the deal for me as far as wanting to open a tea room.
Sure.
And I had this concept that it would be not just a tea room, but a tea room, tea shop, and gift shop where people could enjoy tea, but then look at beautiful things and buy, and someplace where they could come and get their favorite tea and take home as well. So I opened in 2005. The permitting process was horrible. Lots of roadblocks, complying and jumping through hoops. And I actually had to get the ordinance amended to allow tea rooms in the downtown because we had a fast food restriction, and tea rooms were considered, my business was considered fast food.
Are you kidding?
Nobody ever came in there and stayed 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. And I
But
remember it's because you retired from it about 6 months ago, but you're sort of you're consulting with it now. I
so
understand.
I always did consulting with different people all over the country, actually, who wanted to know a little bit more about how to go about opening a tea room or if it was a good fit for them. So I do consulting. I still do that. But a friend of mine, Robin Capello, who lives in Waltham, was actually looking for a space for her Watch City Arts, which she wanted an art gallery. And I was trying to lead her in the right direction. I said, you know, you're going to need parking. You're going to need handicapped accessibility. You're going to need, you know, and I told her what I felt that she should be looking for in a rental space. And then she realized that, is that doctor?
It is, but I'm going to mute. No, go ahead, Sally. You
Oh,
can keep talking. I'm going to mute me, but you keep talking.
so I guided her, and then she, out of the clear blue, nothing really seemed to work for her. There were roadblocks insofar as it had no parking, and I said, you need parking. Bottom line was, she said, I want to buy your place. So I said, are you sure? It is
Really?
work. Um, and I wanted someone to buy it that would keep it as a tea room. That was important to me. It was
Wow.
actually the first and still really only tea room in Waltham, Mass.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And a nice woman who bakes wholesale um, in Belmont has a tiny tea room in Belmont, and she just opened one in Lexington as well. So, but the Tea Leaf was the first tea room ever in the city of Waltham. So
Wow.
I wanted that legacy to go on. And Robin has kept it as the Tea Leaf. It's still the same name, the Tea Leaf, Tea Room, and Art Gallery. Tea Parlor and Art Gallery at the same location, 487 Moody Street. So that makes me happy.
Just a little Waltham history. They have an ordinance now against fast food because Burger King, which was, oh my gosh, I should know this. What was the name of Burger King? The original hamburger place on Moody Street. And was that considered fast food?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why they did the ordinance, because they were able to open. So that's why they implemented the fast food ordinance. They didn't want another McDonald's or any
Right.
drive-throughs. Yeah. So that was to protect really the downtown from being less
Taco Bell.
charming. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Because I'm trying to think what the name of that I'll have to ask my
well, we had Jolly Burger that was on Pine Street.
Burger King.
But
What was it originally? Yeah.
That was, I think, the wagon wheel.
The wagon wheel? Does that sound familiar? You brought up kind of near there. What was
the ice
that?
cream place.
The ice cream place, and then they went into hamburgers. How do I know this? That was my neck of the woods in Newton. Very kind of ice cream. Rogers, Jolly, I can't remember, but that was the first fast food thing, and then
Yeah.
Burger King took it
Well,
over.
they were grandfathered in, so
Okay.
and then they came up with the fast food ordinance.
Wow, which is a good thing. It is a good
And
thing.
there's also a no manufacturing on Moody Street, and someone wanted to open a restaurant brewing company.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Watch City Brewing Company, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they changed the ordinance, they amended the ordinance to allow micro brewing restaurants.
Okay, because that was on the corner of
Pine and
Pines
Moody.
and Moody, across from the old Grove of Cronin's.
Yep.
Yep, I remember that. Okay,
Yeah.
but you were very active. You're still active in Waltham, and you know what? In the beginning, as a female, because it is, you know, Women's History Month. Did you have trouble, or who was the first woman elected in Waltham? Waltham has a great history about that, but you came
Yeah,
in.
I'm not the first woman city councilor. Actually, someone told me that there was, well, of course, Kathy McMiniman has been serving a long time, but way back in Waltham's history, there actually was a woman who ran for council. But you know what the hardest thing for me was?
What's that?
To get my target pistol target license, my license to carry, just for target, because at that time they had
Right.
two different licenses. They had a full license to carry and they had a target. And the target was easier to obtain at that time, 1970,
Yeah.
than a full license to carry. So I was the first woman in Waltham that actually was given, not easily, I
Yeah.
had to confront the chief of police.
No way.
And I said, you are giving me my life. Or I'll be talking to an attorney. They gave it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't. And then many, many, many moons later, I got my license to carry, and so at the time when I was shooting target, at that time, now my firearm is worth more now than when I bought it.
Really?
And so I'll be trading that in, but I've gotten into archery and I love it.
Right. Yes. I
Love
remember you talking.
archery. Yeah.
You ride a motorcycle? Do you still do your motorcycle?
I still fancy doing that.
You do.
So I have a permit, and I just did a show with Paul Cote, who has that whole program, Check Twice, Save a Life,
Yes.
for motorists out there and truck drivers to just be a little bit more aware and courteous to the two wheels and the three wheels out there, you know. Yeah, I saw a couple of fatalities, which
Oh,
not good. So I've had him on every year for the past 5 years, and nice guy, and he's on a mission, and I'm the legislative chair for my VFW right here in Waltham, and I've got a whole bunch of when I'm off with you, I'll be reviewing that for a meeting tomorrow night, and they are bills at the State House regarding motorcycles and veterans. So those are two things that I really hold close to my heart, because my dad was a veteran,
yeah.
World War II. Yeah. And I've been hosting around town for 32 years. Ginny, you're going to have to catch up to
You
me.
know what? I was going to bring that. I'm glad you did. You've been doing it 32 years, and because I'm doing my 10th year, I'm in my 10th year.
Yeah.
But I knew you started before me. And you know, when I started, we had someone from New TV that had been in it for a long time. So she opened doors for me, because when I started there, and I started before I got my own show about 5 years before, it was mostly men doing shows. And so when I had the opportunity to, get my own show, they interviewed me and they said, well, what do you think you want to do? And I said, I want to do everything. Here's my ideas. I want to do everything from psychics to successful women to unique careers. and it just took off from there. But I really feel at New TV, for me as a female, once I got my foot in the door and started my show, they saw what I did, and it was easy after that. It was easy. Can I say this? 8-time award-winning show for New TV. And you know, we talk about how sometimes we certainly did fight for women's rights, but I think, I really mean this, I think our Italian Sicilian background gives us the tenacity to not take no for an answer. And we do it
Exactly.
politely. We're not rude. We do it politely.
Exactly. Let me tell you a story. So when I ran the first time, I had already had my show, and my show was already up and running. And back then, I mean, I don't even know how many people watched Waltham Community Access back then, but management, now it's a volunteer effort, and I had a whole crew. I had camera people, I had a floor director, I had the director in the booth, I was a producer, and I've got to tell you, I have to tell you, I was told, I was given a letter in the mail that I would have to stop doing my show while I ran for public office.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how can they kind of fire you or suspend a volunteer? And it didn't make sense to me. And I was successful in getting them to, my crew didn't want to stop for 6 months. They're
Yeah.
all volunteers, you know?
Yeah.
So the nice man at the FCC, I'll never forget his name, Milton Gross. He was the legal director of the FCC, and he's in Washington. He was based in Washington D.C., and he said they can't get you off. That is that whole, oh, what was it called? The fairness doctrine. So the fairness doctrine went away in like whatever 1989 in the Reagan administration. They took away the fairness doctrine so that I could run for public office and have my television show too. And I said to Milton, we were on a first name basis back then. He actually put me in touch with a lawyer. His first name was Rob, and I don't know his last name, but he worked for the ACLU or volunteered for the ACLU. He was the attorney, and I spoke to him, told him that Milton Gross suggested I call, and he said, after hearing, you know, the details, he said, they can't do that. We'll send them a letter. So the Waltham channel received a letter in the mail saying that you've got to put her back on the air, you know, immediately. And the crew was really happy, and I had the best people, you know, helping me out on my show. So it's play TV. It's fun.
It is fun. You know, I went from sitting as guest hostess, one of the shows that was there, to my own show. And I'm proud to say I'm a member of the board of directors at New TV. And it's really an honor. I feel like, you know, it is a majority of men. There's one other gal that serves with me, Diana is her name, and she's the treasurer. But in no way do they treat me differently. And this is no longer 1960 or 1970. We are, I cannot, I have no complaints about how I'm treated. It's wonderful. And I think we've made I think we've made major strides.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do have to say, you know, both Bob Kelly at the time and currently Maria Sheehan, both really, really good, encouraging, and, you know, why don't you do this? Or what do you think about that? Or, you know, and Maria even gives me ideas for guests on the show too, which is always good because, you know, you can't do it all. Suggestions, I I'm out there and people recognize me in the supermarket or, CVS or on the street, and they give me suggestions for shows as well. So, and they tell me that they watch my show and they love the Waltham channel. So I started several months ago doing shout outs and to all those people. And I asked them, what's your first name? I'll do a shout out.
Yeah.
And I just went to the grocery store up the street a couple months ago, and they said, you're the lady on TV. I think it's the white hair that they
No,
I think it's the white hair.
Mention that though, because Waycam, who I absolutely love, and if people are not a member of Waycam, join Waycam. They, for the first time a month ago, Waycam let me, well, not that they let me, but I asked if I could do an outside interview with the fire chief and kind of go through all the safety tips. And Waycam said, you got it? You got a camera guy. I can't say enough about Waycam.
Yeah.
I really can't, because it is, it's one of those gems that, you don't always get to see, and more people should get involved and donate.
Absolutely.
Become members and help, because it's really community at its finest.
Can I tell you that yes, you don't have to be in front of the camera, you can be behind the camera. When I took the video class back in 1991, there was a young man shortly after I started my show, a young boy, I should say, he was 13 years old. He and his father were taking the class, a couple of classes after me, and his name was Mike Navin. And I said, so what do you want to do? He said, I'd like to work on your show because someday I want to be a producer. I want to be a director. He said, I want to be a director. And I said, really? He said, and 13 years old, he directed my show at 13 years of age.
No.
And he worked at Channel 5 as a gopher. He was just volunteering at Channel 5. And he was a director on my show. He grew up. He went to Emerson, and he is the news director down in Connecticut.
No.
He's been in Atlanta, Georgia. He's been in Maine. His first gig was in Maine when he won a New England. No, he was at Fox 25. He won Best Director.
Wow.
Best Director in all of New England. He won a New England Emmy Award.
Oh my gosh.
For best directing.
Waycam is very cool. They're going to let me go over about 10 minutes. So with that 10 minutes, I want you to tell a story about your mom. And it's the one, the building in Waltham. I only know the last one, Lowell. But tell that story about your mom.
And I should say, yeah, the Francis Cabot Lowell Mill was the first mill in the United States that actually did the entire process from the cotton to the fabric to the threads and all that. And then Francis Cabot Lowell took the business up to Lowell, Mass later on, because the Merrimack River was provided a lot more power. However, many, many, many years later, a lot of Waltham ladies would work at the Francis Cabot Lowell Mill, but it was Boston-made dress company.
Wow.
Boston made. My mother was probably 17 or 18 years old.
Wow.
She was a member of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. They made absolutely peanuts, but paid into the union. And they went on strike in 1941. And my mother and a bunch of other ladies from the mill organized a publicity program to emphasize their strike and why they were on strike, to let people know it was for better wages and better working conditions.
Wow.
And yeah, and they took a picture. My mother was sort of my sister and I say she was the who was that Sally Field, or one of those actresses.
I know who you're
They,
talking.
she was ahead of her time, the Norma Ray of her time.
I love
So
it.
she and the ladies went out front. They retrofitted a car to they retrofitted the car to look like a steam engine, and all the ladies lined up, and the big sign above the car told about that the Ladies International Garment Workers Union, Prince Cabot Lowell Mill, Boston Maid, on strike for better working conditions. And as far as I know, they got what they wanted at that time. They weren't asking for a lot, but that's her claim to fame.
Wow.
And then later, well, she got married, raised 7 kids. When the youngest was 16, my brother Rocky, my mother went back to work as a stitcher.
Yeah.
And guess where she worked? For Sampson Altman in this building.
Same building.
In the building. And I reside in this building, in this complex. And in the other building is where, well, the building's all attached, but she went back to work.
Amazing. That's
Doing
amazing.
the same thing she did when she was 18. She just loved making clothes.
And that's where your mom and met my grandmother. And I'll just do a quick
Mrs. Patty, she loved your grandmother. Yeah.
And which is so interesting that happened, by the way. My grandmother came over here when they were quite young, and my grandfather, as you know, founded Patty Brothers in Waltham, now in Sudbury.
Right.
And in order for him to do this, my grandmother, Agnes Patty, had to work. So she worked for Jones of New York at one time, and then she also went to work in Boston every day.
Well,
And
that's
to fund
if I could interrupt. That's what they made here was Jones of New York.
Then she may have, in actual fact, come
right
to Boston.
Here.
Yes, in your building. Oh, that's
in this building. They made all the upscale clothing for New York.
Wow. Then she did, because she always. One day she gave me a jacket. And she was a slight woman, and she said, "This will fit you." And then I still have it, Jones in New York, and I went, "Holy cow!" But
you know what she did?
Yeah,
She bought it during the sample sale, Ginny. a couple of times a year they would have a sample sale.
No way.
Yeah, because
great ladies through the hot summers and the ice cold winters.
Right.
They got on the bus, went to work, came home, and still and did great things. But I noticed Dr. Amara has.
Hi, doctor.
Yes. So I'm gonna wait. Cam will give me 5 more minutes. So I'm gonna let Dr. Amara. I'm going to give him the drum roll, though. Ready? Dr. Amara is in the building. So, Dr. Amara, would you like to jump in?
Well, I came in late because somebody gave me the wrong time, but that's okay.
No, you don't read your emails, but that's
no,
okay.
No. You said 3:30. I was there at 3:30, but I had the excuse for being that my granddaughter came on board, so
that's
first.
fine. You are excused big time. You're excused. So would you like to talk a little bit about something with women's history, your mom? How about your granddaughter? Anything you want. We're going to give you about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. How about Lieutenant Father Capodanno?
I'd like to talk about that because we're getting close to collecting. We're going to have to collect at least 1,000 signatures on Lieutenant Capodanno, and who is a war hero, Medal of Honor winner, and we're trying to get a commemorative stamp for him. And we've had a mass for him in the area, and Jenny has had a memorial service for him here. And we do need people to come and to sign the petition. As soon as we get 1,000 signatures or so, we will submit this to the post office. But we still need those signatures. So, Ginny, could you give them the?
I can. The way to sign the petition would be on the Italian American Alliance Facebook page, or on my show page, which is Virginia's Views and Vibes. And if you would like to, you can email us at gravyorsauce26 @gmail.com, and we will send you the petition that you can print and get signatures. And you can also get some information regarding the Lieutenant Father who was in Vietnam and went out and was aiding and giving prayers to the people in the field as they were wounded and helping to treat them. And he was killed in action, among many other things, just a Vietnam hero. And he did God's work, but we're mostly emphasizing his veteran status and the things that he did on the battlefield of Vietnam. He chose to go back there again to continue his work. And so many people have come on board with this. It's a Postmaster General to get him a stamp. And again, this you can sign the petition on the Italian American Alliance Facebook page or my Facebook page. And then again, email us and we will answer you and get you the petition. So
Jenny, I have a question.
sure.
I have a question. Can people sign that electronically? On
Yes.
Facebook? Oh, good.
It's on my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, but I'm going to put it up on my show page so that everyone can sign it electronically. If you can do that, that would be wonderful.
And I will pass that along to my to my people on Facebook as well, all my
That's
friends and family.
Right. That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we, I think, are out of time. We are at 36 minutes, maybe 2 more minutes, my time guy. So Sally, it is always a pleasure having you. We will do this
Thank you,
in person.
Sally.
We will do this in person. Dr. Amara, thanks for jumping on.
Nice to see you, Doctor.
Information.
Sally, I apologize. I've apologized for her giving me the wrong time.
No, I understand. But we understand. Sometimes life gets in the way of these other things we
I
do.
apologized for you. I apologized for you giving me the wrong time.
I was late, and I know you find that, you're so surprised that I was a couple of minutes late.
No,
And then I
Jimmy, being late is on time. For you, being
So
late
I
is
do.
on time.
But Dr. Mara, I will Zoom you and see you tonight on Zoom.
All right.
And have a great afternoon. And Sally, thank you.
Thank
that's
you for
okay.
having me, Jenny.
Bye.
As
Bye-bye.
always,
Sally, that
fun.
was fun. We'll do this in person. I have to tell you about a guest that I'm going to have. You may be interested in her. Dr. Maria Lombardo. She wrote a book, A Camp Without Walls. Her father was in the resistance, the Italian resistance. Let me see if I can find this. And he was in a Nazi prisoner of war camp because he was helping the Jews. And it's just, I'm just well into it, and it's really sad. And it's sad too that people do not know how much the Italian people did in World War II to help and save the Jews. And this is a great book. It is sad that, it's not happy, but it's a lot of information and good facts to know. So
That's great. And she's local?
she's local. She lives in Newton.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice.
We're trying to set up a conference with her.
I'm sorry?
We're trying to set up a conference, a
Yeah,
large conference, her and a lot of Italian American leaders, because the story should be heard.
absolutely. Absolutely. And we're sort of setting up this conference, and she'll be on my show the 29th of March. So Dom, if you'd like to come down and see her, you can. Sally, if you want to come to the set too, that would be fine. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
But,
let me know.
Go ahead.
Let
I'll
me
let you
know.
I'll let you know. And
That'd be great.
can't wait. All right, so you're coming. Are you going to go? The other thing, it's not, I don't know if it's still recording, but the 21st, next week, we have a book review by Sandra Selly by the Pirandello Lyceum is sponsoring that. It's at
I
her shop.
saw that in, I think you had events or something. And what date is it? Is it a Thursday or a?
Tuesday, week from yesterday, the 21st, right? Actually, you can walk there.
I know. I
You can
know. I just might do that. I'm just going to look at the calendar, and then I'll text you.
Sounds good. Sounds
All
great.
right.
Hope to see you. Thanks again, Sally. We'll talk soon.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, now I have to figure out how to get off this, Sally. This is my, leave. I didn't.
Good luck.
Yeah, I
Bye.
know, right? Bye-bye.